So, as I was thinking today about what we wanted to talk about, or what I wanted to talk about during the Facebook Live, I realized that, it's that weird time of summer where some of you just got out of school, some of you have been out for a few weeks, and there's that, do I think about the classroom? I don't really want to think about the classroom. Do I need to think about the classroom? But you really can't get rid of the classroom from your brain. So I thought I would just cover 5 things that you can think about to be productive for your classroom, but that aren't going to require a great amount of effort. And most of you probably don't know the students that you have yet, or what staff you have, or things like that. So I'm just going to cover some things that you can do at this point in the summer. I'll be back later in July to talk more about some hands-on things to get you started. Okay, so my first thing that I would have you do, as I move my little table over so you can see me better, is to make a list of what worked this year and what didn't. Anybody who has ever taken a course or been in training with me knows that one of the things that I really prize is the act of problem solving. That after we run the classroom the first couple weeks, at the end of the day, we sit down and we talk about what worked and what didn't work. And I do that because then we can figure out what we're going to change and what we're going to keep. Hi, Susie from Ohio. Good to see you. And so we want to make sure that, as we're thinking about next year, what worked this year, don't throw those things out. And I think sometimes it really helps to take stock of those things, because I think sometimes we don't think about them enough. We don't remember how much did work during the year. Yes, I decided, Laura says this picture is very inviting. I decided that the background should really be the things that you can do while sitting by the pool. That was really my focus. Hi, Michelle. So just whether it's in your head or on paper, what things worked this year that you're going to keep? And then what things didn't work this year that maybe you want to go back and tweak? And I'm going to be the first to tell you, don't feel like you're going to overhaul your classroom. When you go to start new things, try one thing at a time. But if you've got a good sense of what worked and what didn't, whether you were the teacher in the class or a para in the class and now you're going to be a teacher, make sure that you hold on to the things that were working in the classroom. Those are the things you want to put back in place. Maybe your visual schedules worked really well last year. Maybe you didn't feel like they were really successful. So then from that, you can start to think about what are the things that I want to change. But for right now, just make the list of what was working and make a list of the things that you want to change. And just leave it at that. Don't feel like you need to go create all the new changes. Just wait a little bit and let that go. Oh, Ruth Ann's in the pool right now. It's raining in my part of Florida, Ruth Ann, so hopefully it is drier where you are. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is think about your classroom vision. I don't know how many of you have either read my blog post or heard me talk about this before. Leanne, I'll come back to that one. I think it's very important, over the years, I've come to the conclusion that it's important to have a written classroom vision. Ultimately, you want that vision to be created by your classroom team because you're going to use it to keep coming back to be able to talk about they're having a conversation about Ruth Ann being in the pool. It's distracting me. Go ahead and have it. I'm not saying you should stop. So I think a classroom vision is something that you want to come back to and bring everybody back to, so that when you're giving feedback to staff, you're relating it back to why. Why is what you're asking them to do important, and it needs to relate to the classroom vision. And if anyone is interested, I'll be happy to link to my post about classroom visions. But start thinking about, what do you want to really emphasize with your students this year, whether it's independence with independence with communication, independence with their schedules, access to their communication devices throughout the day, whether it's being able to travel. They should be allowed to travel around the school with less supervision. All those kinds of things. So think about what your classroom vision would be. You don't have to write it down, and ultimately you do want your classroom staff to create it with you, but start thinking along the lines of what you think are the most important things that you want to focus on with your class this year. Hey, Cheryl. It's fine, Murthan. Yes, actually, Terry, I will link to a post about that, and I'll come back and answer questions when I get through this list. My next step would just be make work tasks. Work tasks, you can never have too many work tasks. You can never have too many things that can go into independent work, that can go into those table task time, that can serve as your filler for when there's downtime in the classroom. So you may want to come back. You may want to just, pull out a whole bunch of different level of work tasks and make sure that you have them. File folders, puzzles. I'm trying to think of different ones. It could be worksheets. It could be task cards. It could be a lot of different things, but easy things that you can laminate, sit by the pool, and cut out. Not things that, you're going to go and spend a lot of time, but things that you're on lookout in the dollar store for, things that you can make while you're binging on Netflix. Those are the kinds of things that you want to focus on. So you can never have too many things that you can put in a student's hand and keep him busy when you need to talk to a principal at the door or those kinds of things. So they're the filler tasks. Make sure that you've got tons of those. You can never have enough. Those are good things to work on that you'll thank yourself for later. And number 4, make visual supports. Most of you work in classrooms, if not all of you, that need visual schedules, visual cues, communication devices, visual supports in the community, visual supports across the classroom. So again, you're never going to have enough visual supports. So again, while you're binging on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, or sitting by the pool, or taking a car trip. I once took a car trip with my sister, who was still teaching back then, and we took some of those, I don't have one that's handy, some of the bins that are like 8.5 by 11, stuck a bunch of stuff in them, and whoever wasn't driving was cutting. If we'd laminated before we left, we were cutting that out. And then when we got back from our trip, we'd had something to keep our hands busy. That became productive time for us when we weren't looking at things. We'll probably do it again this summer when we go out west this August. So make visual supports because you're never going to have enough. Keep your hands busy. For me, I have to keep my hands busy. It keeps me from eating and getting into all other kinds of troubles. So make visual supports is an easy one to do while you're doing other stuff. And finally, number 5, rest. You need to be sitting by the pool. You need to be resting. You need to be enjoying your time with your family. You need to take a break. So those of you who got out a while ago, you've had a break for a little while. Those of you that just got out, you need to take a break. Make sure that you're enjoying your time. Make sure that you're taking the time to really unplug to some degree. It may be that you don't want to do anything on that list for a few weeks. That's important. I will tell you, as somebody who regularly gets unplugged by other people because I'm not very good at it, it is amazing when you come back from vacation or you come back from just not thinking about school, how refreshed you are, how many more better ideas you have because you haven't been focused on them. So please don't underestimate the importance of resting and taking some time to just disconnect from your classroom so that you can really come back at the beginning of the year more refreshed. So that's one of the reasons that I was struggling today to think about what my topic would be for today's Facebook Live, because I didn't want to spend a lot of time telling you things you should do because I want you to rest. I want you to take a step away. So that's really, really important. Yes, Holly says, rest, breathe, and have fun. There's no substitute for that. Um, and doing it is harder than you think it is. So those are my 5 tips of things that you can do in June. If you want to think about your classroom, or if you want to rest and think about it a little bit later, that's a good way to kind of ease it back into it. Don't make your schedule yet. Don't make your zoning plan yet. There's plenty of time for that down the road. Uh, I know. And, Laura, and I'm going to come back to these other questions. Laura says, whoops, it seems dangerous to waste time during the summer. But in reality, if you don't give your brain a break, then you're going to have a harder time down the road. So you really do need to give your brain some time off. You need to give your family some time. You need to give yourself some time. And you really need to recognize the stuff will still be there to make, and you're going to be better able to figure out what you should make and not make in order to figure that out. So it is amazing how much that can make a difference in your ability to focus. So let me come back to some of these questions. Okay, so Terry says, can you name 3 things a new teacher should have to start the year? I will put a link to a post in the description of the video above that actually has the materials that I think you really need to start the year. But I would say you can never have enough work tasks. You can never have enough visuals. And I think probably the other thing is to start looking at what you want to do for your instructional materials if you don't have curriculum that provides that. So I would say work tasks, those filler tasks, visual supports, schedules, redirection visuals, visuals for feet on the floor, places where kids are going to sit, whatever the, visuals of materials so they can put them away. I've got a whole set of visuals, a whole blog post of visuals that are useful. So I'll try and plug that into the links above as well. So hopefully that gives you a start. I will share the link to the Classroom Vision, absolutely. You can also find more about it in my classroom scheduling and teaching plan, Building Effective Teams manual on TPT. What is a good way to organize all those work tasks? It's really going to depend on you. It's going to depend on how you organize things. I tend to do it, this one has data sheets in it at the moment, but I do file folders and tasks in these zip bags. I try to find them when they're on sale. I will put file folder games in a crate that I can file. I recently saw somebody who took a picture of them and used that as the tag, which I thought was cool, but way more work than I was probably willing to put into it because I'm not the color binder group. But I really like these envelopes because they seal and they can hold a good bit and I can see through them. And that works really well for me. So I put a lot of my work tasks in them and then I file them in crates. Is usually the easiest way that I know of to do that. And if anybody has suggestions, please feel free to share in the comments. What do I suggest for someone who cannot function without the routine? Leanne, are you asking about staff or students? If you're asking about students, I would say, excuse me, I have a dog who apparently isn't very fond of thunder sitting next to me, and we're having a lightning storm. I would say for the students, I would try to put as much routine as you can in place. And I would use your schedules as a way to teach them some flexibility. Once you have a routine in place, you can use your schedules to teach flexibility. And we sometimes tend to forget that. The reason that we use visual schedules when kids know the whole routine is specifically so that we can change it up and use the schedule to let them know about that. So that's how I really teach them that flexibility. Okay. Terry's asking, where do you get the graphics for your visuals? Because you need to add a few to my TPT package. A large number of them are edge clips. Some of them are, if you've got the elementary preschool package, some of them are whimsy clips. Some of them are of a Rebecca Brock. Most of them are ones I've put together from different people. So it's really hard for me to say. If you look at the package, and if you don't have this page for some reason, if you don't have the computer file anymore, go back and download it. There's a credits page. That credits page actually tells you all the artists that I got the visuals from. That's probably the best way to find the answer to that question. But I use a lot of different ones to make what I need at that time. Michelle slept all day yesterday. That is awesome. Stacy says, I so needed to hear number 5. I've been feeling guilty because I've been so focused on finishing up your rank and I haven't even thought about my classroom in a month. That's okay. Hard time resting. Definitely. Laura's going on vacation. That will help. Hi, Lisa. Leanne's saying herself. Okay. Here's what I would say. So what Leanne is saying in response to, let me go back and find your earlier comment. I asked the question, what do you suggest about someone who cannot function without a routine? She's referring to herself. Make yourself a routine, but put your leisure activities on your routine. So I'm going to do this for this amount of time. I'm going to do this for this amount of time. I'll do this, or just give yourself one thing you're going to do each day or each week about your classroom. And once you've crossed it off, don't feel guilty about not focusing on other things from your classroom. So focus on the things that you need to do for you. Put them on your schedule. Self-care is important because otherwise you will burn yourself out. And then you're not going to be any good to any of us. Yes, Laura is correct. Oh, and for those of you who want to see what my shirt is, writing IEPs is my cardio. I got it from Lipstick and Littles. I don't think she makes it anymore. It just happened to be the one I pulled out today. I have started collecting t-shirts like this. Other questions? Thoughts? Please remember to take time for yourself, because if you don't, you will burn out and you won't be good for anybody. Find a hobby. Get a dog. I have a dog who won't let me work for too long at a time. She makes me get up. She has a dog door, but she thinks she can't go out it by herself. Say hi, Lucy. Say hi. She's like, I'm sleeping. Why are you bothering me? She's good for me because she makes me, whoops, cannot get that right. She makes me go outside with her. She makes me do things. So, excuse me just a moment. My camera is not doing well. There we go. Okay. All right. Then I think you guys should go back to the pool. She is adorable. I think that you should take some time for yourself. Can I visit Pennsylvania? I can if somebody asks me to come. Talk to your district. I just got back from Beat the Heat in Austin. It was awesome. It was so cool. I actually have a video I've got to edit that I'll show in Instagram TV that showed their make and take activities, which I thought was phenomenal. All right. Leanne, go write your leisure activities on your schedule. The rest of you, make sure that you go back to the pool. Ruth Ann, enjoy yourself. And I will be back next week with, I'm going to commit to it. I will be back next week to show you how you can use my new laundry skill books, which will be published at some point in the next week so that you can see them. Again, ask somebody to come to have me come. I would love to come to New Hampshire. I'd love to come to Pennsylvania. I just only come when people ask me and pay me to do it. I have thought at times about doing a conference down here. I just don't know that that's something I can add to my plate at this point. All right. But I will try, if you're on my newsletter, then you will get periodic updates of when I will be in different places. I will be in Baltimore in October, I think. So I'll be at least farther north. Ruthann, I moved. So I'm not in South Florida anymore. I'm now back in Central Florida. My house is still there. So if you know anybody who wants to buy a house, my house is for sale. But yeah, definitely sometime we should get together. All right, everybody, go enjoy yourself. I will talk to you hopefully next week. Bye, guys.